Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer. Today we're going to have a go at making some easy wargaming houses for a fantasy setting. First of all, we're going to need a pen, a scalpel, a ruler, some pins, scissors, coffee stirrers, some PVA glue or wood glue, some foam board, some cross stitch mesh. So first of all, we're going to cut two 13 by 7 centimeter pieces, and these will be the long parts of the house. Next, we're going to cut two 7 by 8 centimeter pieces, and these will be the short ends of the house. So we'll end up with two each of these pieces, two longs and two shorts. And this will be the structure of the main house building. So on one of the smaller pieces, we're going to mark out where the door's going to go. So we're going to mark 4 centimeters up. And join the dots. So we got a line across the top of it. Next, I'm measuring 2 centimeters in, and I'm measuring a 2 centimeter gap. And this is going to be our door, so I measure it on the top line and on the bottom line, and then join the lines up. Like so. And this creates our doorway. Next, I measure 2 centimeters up from the bottom and do a line, and 2 centimeters up from the top and do a line, and these are on the long pieces. And we do this on both of the long pieces. Giving you this. And now on both of the long pieces, you mark out a 2 centimeter mark on each of those lines, and this is going to be your window. So we proceed to cut out the windows on each of the two long pieces. And then the door out of the one short piece. Right, next we're going to get a couple of the coffee stirrers and cut them down to just over the size of the window. And we're going to glue them down, overlapping the window space a little bit, so it'll give you a little lip on the inside of the building. And we're going to do this to both of the windows. Next, we're going to make a frame for our door, so we simply cut some cocktail sticks for either side. And then another one for a cross beam across the whole length of the front of the building. Now for the other short section, we mark off the same height, because I forgot to do it earlier. So 2 centimeters down from the top, and we put a beam across, so a cocktail stick, and glue it into place, like so. And on the long pieces, we do the same. We glue a long beam across the top line and a long beam across the bottom line. So while that's drying, we're going to cut some edging around the window. So cut 2 pieces and cut them around the window, and this is again on both of the window pieces. So now that the basic structure is done, we're going to glue it all together using PVA or wood glue and pin it into place. It's as easy as pie, you just stick it all together. So now that it's stuck together, I suddenly realise I missed a beam on the back shorter piece, so I'm going to glue another beam on here. And because it hasn't had any time to dry, I've clamped it down to cut it. And that's what it should look like. So now I'm going to use, again, the coffee stirrers to cover up all the joins. So there should be 4 joins where you can see the rough texture of the foam board underneath, and you don't want that, so you want to cover it up to make it look like there's some wooden beams. So this is a bit of an optional touch, but I put a cladding on the top of it as well of the model, just to cover the unsightly bobbly effect of the foam core. But again, this is very optional, but it'll give it a bit more strength. So now that we've done that, we're going to start thinking about how we're going to make this roof. So we want an 8cm strip. And then we're going to mark 4 centimeters along that 8cm strip, so it's halfway down the middle, it's right down the middle. So basically we got 2 4cm blocks here. So we're going to mark 4 centimeters up from one of the edges and join it to the corners to give you a nice triangle. And this is going to be the eave of the roof. So we need 2 of them, and once you've done that, you just get some scrap foam and we can make some little clips for the eaves to go into the building. This is very much an optional extra. A lot of people probably wouldn't bother with it, but if you think someone's going to be knocking your roof off a lot, it might be an idea. And this is how it will fit. So now we have to cut the roof section. So we measure the length of the building, and that's how long our roof is going to have to be. So now we cut 2 lengths of roofing, the required length of our building. And then we want to measure how much of a rise it's got. And that should give us a rough idea for how much each panel of the roof is going to be. Just follow just follow what I'm doing and you won't go far wrong. So we've got these two pieces, and as you can see they're a bit long, but that's exactly what we want. Now we cut one of the corners at a 45-degree angle, and this is going to be the top of our roof where it's going to meet the other piece. So I do to both pieces of roof. And then they should meet up like so. So now we're going to glue those pieces onto our eaves and pin them down. So this is what it looks like up to this point, and then you cut off the edge of the roof in line with the eaves. So this is what we got so far. Now we're going to put some trim on the roof, so again to cover up the bobbliness of the foam board, and it'll give a little point of interest for the roof. Now we're going to work on the shingles. So I do the shingles on a piece of cardboard, and they're 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre squares basically. So you can do a long strip of them. And then simply cut out the corners. So cut the corner one way and then cut it the other way, and you'll get a nice little V like so. And this gives you the shingling for the roof. So we start at the bottom of the roof, using your first layer of shingling down. You can have it slightly overhanging the edge, and then the next one place over the previous one, have it slightly overhanging the previous layer, and just repeat. So as you near the top, try and get it so that you either put one set of tiles down, pulling it further down over the previous one, or pull it up slightly more, so that you get a nice smooth line at the top, so it meets the very end of it. Now it's up to you then, you could put some sort of cap on the top if you wanted to. So next we're going to give it some texture with some filler. So we're going all over the foam board with some slightly dampened filler, and we're just speckling it on. We're not brushing it because then you get huge brush strokes, but we're just dabbing it on all over anything that's white. Then afterwards, just give it a little clean over the wooden pieces, just to keep them as unspoiled as possible. And try not to forget to do the eave of the roof. Spot the mistake here, this is filmed before I actually put the shingles on. So next we get some of this granny grey cross stitch mesh, whatever you want to call it, and we mark out the windows, slightly bigger than we need. And yes, that is a unicorn pen I'm using. So you cut these pieces out and you push them into the gap. Now if you made them slightly too big, that's good, because the force of them trying to push out will keep them in place, and you probably won't even have to use glue. So next we use a mixture of either Mod Podge and black paint, or PVA and black paint mix, whichever one you want to use, and you just cover everything in this colour. So next I use a dark brown paint. I'm using emulsion because that works fine, and it's to simulate an earthen tone because this is meant to be a wattle and daub style building. And I go over the granny grating as well in the windows. So I give this a fairly liberal coating. I'm not trying to cover the black completely, I'm just going to give it a nice brush over. Allow the black to stay in the edges, and remembering to do the eaves. So next, with a lighter brown, we do a heavy dry brush over to catch all the details of the filler that we've done. And it should catch the edges. It's a little bit more than a very light dry brush. This will catch around sort of 60% of your model, and it really shows up here, as you can see. It makes all the details pop, and it makes it look more three-dimensional and not so flat. So after that we get a lighter tone. So this is more of a sandy brown. It might even be a sand you could use. And again, this is the lightest of the dry brushes. You don't want to go too heavy with this one because it'll make everything just wash out. Now I'm not going to use a wash afterwards. I think that this will work perfectly fine without a wash. And remember, don't forget the eaves. So now it comes time for doing the shingling. Now you could do them a clay tile shingle or a terracotta tile shingle, but I'm doing them as a stone, like slate roof tiles. So I'm using a fairly light grey here actually, but you could use a darker grey if you want to, but this one's got like a bluey grey tone which I quite like, and is in quite a few different types of tiles. So next I'm going back to the lighter of my two brown colours, and I'm going to use a light dry brush on this. This will give the grey a bit more colour, so it's not just one colour grey. Makes it look a bit more natural and add some interest to it. So that's it, that's me done. We've finished our house and it's all done. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you make them yourselves. I'll pull up some pictures to close with, so you can see the house in game. And yeah, I highly recommend you try and make some of your own houses because it's so easy and it's really cheap to do. So until next time, happy gaming from Welsh Miniature Board Gamer. Bye.